We're going to be side by side, heading towards the last lap. I'm going to have to pull back into the slipstream. We'll go outside for Paddock Hill. This time we're going to do a switchback down to 4th gear. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Traxion channel for another brand new video, and in this, the latest episode of my new series where I try the latest and greatest that racing games have to offer, I'm going to be jumping back on rFactor 2 for the first time in a long while on the Traxion channel. On the 9th of May we had the Q2 update and content drop, which includes a number of quality of life improvements, sparks coming out from the back of the cars, an updated sound engine. All of that stuff was free, but also 5 pieces of new content which you could buy. 3 of these pieces of content were tracks. So we had LAGUNA SECA in America, we had Donington Park in the UK, both the National and the Grand Prix layout, and we also have Brands Hatch, both the GP and Indy layout. And then also to go along with the tracks, we have 2 new very exciting cars from the British Touring Car Championship. First of all, we have this Infiniti Q50, which was the championship winning car from last year, Ash Sutton's rear-wheel drive, obviously a lot of pedigree within the championship, and we also have the Toyota Corolla driven by Sam Smelt and Rory Butcher in last year's championship too, which is front-wheel drive, also a championship contender in the hands of Tom Ingram the previous season, so 2 very exciting British touring cars. In this video I'm going to jump in the driver's seat of both of these cars and give them a go, and also, I mean, the British touring cars are actually racing at Brands Hatch Indy this weekend, so we'll definitely be doing a race around Brands Hatch Indy towards the end. Now just quickly before I jump in and give this a go, full disclosure, TraxionGG and Studio 397, who make rFactor 2, are both members of the Motorsport Games family of brands, but we are fully editorially independent, and you can check out our review policy down in the description below. We received this content at the same time as many other content creators, but sadly, because we had a bunch of hardware issues recently, we weren't able to make a video until now. But I think it's quite fitting with the touring cars actually going to Brands this weekend, so everything's looking good. I'm very much excited to jump in and give this a go, so let's fire it up. Okay, so first of all, I think I'm going to jump in the Infiniti and do some laps around the Donington Park National Circuit, simply because I raced at Donington a few weeks ago in Club Enduro. It's such a beautiful flowing circuit, and I think in a rear-wheel drive touring car, it's going to be absolutely mega. It's also worth mentioning that these are the 2021 liveries, so you've got Ash Sutton's number 1 there, you've got Aidan Moffat's number 16. Unfortunately, we don't have Carl Bordley's car, the kind of gold trim one, and then a bunch of other generic BTCC liveries. Hopefully at some point down the line we can get 2022 liveries as well. Okay then, out of the pits we go in our Infiniti Q50. And on a personal level, this official British Touring Car Championship content, it means a heck of a lot to me, because when I was younger, the British Touring Car Championship was one of the first series I was hugely passionate about, being Scottish, growing up with it on television. I also had TOCA Touring Cars 2, which was the first racing game I really heavily got into, based on the 1998 season. Now back then it was super touring, the regulations were incredible, the cars were incredible, all of the top manufacturers were involved and the top drivers in the world, and it was really an incredible spectacle. You can go back and watch all of the races on YouTube. And then in the early 2000s, when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, I got into watching it on TV. It was one of the first racing series that I began to get invested in and get interested in. I remember watching Ivan Muller fighting with Jason Plato in his Astra, and then James Thompson signing and fighting with Ivan Muller the next year. It was just, as I say, one of the first times I really got invested in something. I knew the drivers, I knew the championship standings, even at a very, very young age. The championship went through a little bit of a dip in the mid-noughties, but it's come back in full force over the last 10 years. And even though there's a lot of independence, it's still a fantastically competitive championship with huge amounts of talent on the grid, including Ash Sutton, whose car we're driving right now, multiple champion already. Let's do our first flying lap then in this Infiniti. As I say, driven Donington very recently, so I kind of know my lines, know my braking points. Obviously this car is going to be very different to the Mazda MX-5 I drive in Club Enduro. Very easily flat through the Craner curves. Probably used a bit too much curb there when I get slowed down for old hairpin turned in. Back end coming round on me. Definitely feel like I need to get a little bit of heat into the tyres, and that is track limits through the old hairpin. The Infiniti's a funny car because it's become super competitive in the hands of Ash Sutton, and when you watch it, it's fully unique out there on circuit. It looks like it's dancing around a lot more than many of the other cars, even the other rear-wheel drive cars. There's something about it, almost looks like it's set up for rallying. It's incredible to watch. And the Infiniti wasn't super competitive before then, so obviously Ash joining the Laser Tools team has really helped them get the most out of that car. And it culminated in a fantastic championship winning campaign last season, and it's a lot of fun to drive after just one lap. I mean, I always love rear-wheel drive touring cars, don't get me wrong, but the force feedback is feeling superb at a very early stage. Bit of oversteer on the apex there. The curbs are pretty slippy. Much neater there. Is that going to be track limits? No, that was legal. I'm just trying to learn where the limits actually are around here. What I will say is there's a lot more track branding in this game than there is in real life. That is for sure. Definitely making the most of the real estate. Okay, first full lap time, 1:10.3. Definitely a lot more pace in the car. Obviously, you need to watch out for tyre wear. I don't know what compound I'm on. I think by default it's medium, because I do know that there's 3 different compounds of tyre with this car, soft, medium and hard. Right, now that we've got a little bit of heat in the tyres, let's try and attack Old Hairpin. No, 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 yes. I don't really need to say too much about Donington as a circuit. I mean, if you guys have ever driven it, you'll know how good a track it is. Everyone loves Donington, and this is a really, really good version of it. I thought nothing would ever come close to the ACC version I tried of Donington when that was released as part of the British GT pack, but no, this is feeling great so far. The bumps are very realistic. I can relate to them. The curbs feel a little bit slippery so far. I'd say maybe a little bit more slippery than I've experienced them in real life. But yeah, it's a great, great version of the circuit. That last chicane is so tricky. The bumps on exit as well, the car getting loose. That definitely does happen in reality as well. Locked up the brakes a little bit there, but got the power on early. Is that going to be track limits? No, that's legal. Bit too much curb on the exit of Old Hairpin, so that one's now illegal again. So track limits are going to be a major thing if you're trying to be competitive around Donington. You're going to have to learn exactly where the curbs are, which ones you can use, which ones you can't. That's going to take a little bit of time. They're not lenient, put it that way. I've just come back into the pits to take out some fuel and try some different tyres. And I forgot to say there are also wet tyres as well. So there are 4 compounds of tyre, 3 compounds of dries. We'll go out in softs now. Of course, it's not just the new content with this update. It's the sounds, it's the quality of life stuff. Sounds, for one, I've always been something I've been fairly critical of when it comes to rFactor 2. I don't think it's quite on par with a lot of its rivals. It always sounded just a bit off. And from my experience in this so far, it's a big improvement. Also, Formula Pro, I was commentating on the broadcast on Monday, and those cars were just sounding magnificent. And the sparks were looking awesome as well. Makes a big difference. Just little things like that to make the whole experience a little more immersive. And it's something rFactor 2 can do with, because the driving physics are so good. You know, everyone agrees they're some of the best around, but there's just other elements of the game that let it down somewhat. So it's good signs. Probably need another couple of laps to get the heat back in the tyres. That's confirmation of that. Invulnerability to the rescue. One thing I have learned so far, as you will have just seen, is you do need to spend a couple of laps getting some heat into the tyres before you can really push them. And that's realistic. In the touring cars, they usually do take a couple of laps for the heat to come into the tyres. So that's good, I would say. Annoying when you just want to get on it straight out the pit lane, but realistic. There's definitely like low 108s, 107s in this car for sure. Anyway, there's probably more than that, to be honest. I think 5th gear through Old Hairpin, you don't need to go all the way down to 4th. Keep it legal in terms of track limits. Down to 4th into McLean's. I've had to turn out of that one. That's dreadful. We're off. Somehow that wasn't invalidated, probably because I slowed down so much and was so far off the racing line. So that's that lap gone. Just looking at the state of the tyres down there, I finally feel like I've got enough heat into them after the first few laps, but they're suddenly all worn. I mean, 79% on the front right. That's a lot of wear, and imagine on a front-wheel drive car that would be even worse. So the soft tyres, you've really got a very small window to get the most out of them, so I'm no longer going to be getting the optimum grip, even if I do have heat in them. It's not easy. It's a challenging car to really get the hang of, which is something I very much am happy about. Oh, 2 committed through Old Hairpin. Yeah, that's illegal as well. I could sit here all day and start setting some decent times and some legal lap times as well, but I'm not going to, because I want to show you guys the Toyota Corolla. It's difficult to quit because I'm loving this. I'm having so much fun. Come on. This is important. stop playing around. Sadly, just as I've pitted there, the game's crashed, so what that probably means is I will not have any replays to cut between, so you'll just have to be stuck with my face and some onboard driving, so apologies, but hopefully we'll get some replay cameras for this next race in the Corolla. I should also mention, if you're wondering what wheel I'm using for this video, it is the Moza R9 direct drive wheelbase and the GS steering wheel, which we've actually done a full review of on the Traxion channel, so make sure you check out the link there and watch that review. It is a cracking wheel. So for this last race, I am going to head over to Brands Hatch Indy because that is where the touring cars are racing this weekend. Qualifying will have already happened. Races should be live on ITV tomorrow if you're in the UK. It's a similar story with the Toyota Corolla. We've got a bunch of generic BTCC liveries, but we've also got the official car for Sam Smelt. But I'm going to be Rory Butcher because I love Rory Butcher. I like Sam Smelt too, but you know, Scottish roots and all that. It is the 2021 car once again, but hopefully we'll see some more in future. Right. This time I'm going to do a race against the AI and see how we get on. We're going to stick them on 105%. I've heard that the AI aren't super fast in this car, so we'll just have to watch out for that. Okay then, what can we do from the back of the grid? We've got our teammate Sam Smelt just ahead of us. I'm rolling a little bit because it's Brands Hatch. Select first gear. Clutch out, away we go. I almost wasn't ready for that start. It was an absolute shocker, but that's fine. We can get some heat into the front tyres of this front-wheel drive Corolla. Now it's going to be, I'm expecting anyway, it to be a lot more oversteery early on, with the rear tyres having no heat in them either. But let's just see if we can pick our way through a little bit. That was ambitious. Oh, bit of a nudge into the hairpin, but it is British touring cars after all. Now we're doing 8 laps here at Brands Indy, so we'll just see what kind of progress we can make from the back of the grid. Ow. I deserved that, to be fair. It would be nice in future to see, whoa, a bit of contact on the rear. It would be nice to see a few more car options as well as the official liveries, because the British touring cars, of course, is all about variety and a bunch of different manufacturers and teams racing against each other in equal machinery, but they all don't all look the same, obviously, and they all have their own characteristics. So it's one of the things we love about the British touring cars. I'm being extra cautious on their braking because I don't want to lock this thing up because I am going to have a big spin on corner entry, but so far so good. Bit of a dive bomb in there again. We'll try and avoid contact. High intensity racing. We'll dive to the inside. Into Graham Hill Bend. That was alright. Gonna take a slight lift. Up through Surtees. Whoa. That was close. In the slipstream, AI on the inside hits the brakes. There's barely a chance to breathe here, but it's been a lot of fun. It really has. Can definitely make a move down the inside into here. Maybe 2? Yeah, why not? 2 wheels on the curb. You've got to be a little bit cautious on the throttle on exit, because if not, you're just going to get huge amounts of wheel spin, and you're really going to burn up the fronts and not get any power down. No, I had a little bit of a look into clearways. I think there was a little bit of contact there. We'll try to the outside. Okay, paddock hill. Will I go in a little bit more committed? I'm expecting it to go wrong if I do that, though. That was alright. Try the undercut. Perfect. Just going to run the car in nice and deep. Block off the apex. And that's P7. Corolla feels completely different to the Infiniti. It's a unique characteristic, but it still feels like a British touring car. And they should feel completely different. So I'm very impressed. The force feedback is heavy, it's strong, it's detailed. Of course, a mixture of the physics in-game and also this Moza R9 wheelbase. Straight away, though, this is up there with the best touring car experiences you can have in a sim. And I promise you, I am not being biased. I love the British touring cars. So it makes sense that I would enjoy this, but it's really, really good. It really is. I'm beginning to lean on the brakes a little bit more. I can feel the heat in the tyres. I can feel a bit more control. We're going to start understeering as the tyres wear. Let's actually have a look at the wear rates. We're 90% in the front left. Of course, we're on mediums as well, not softs. And yeah, that looks about right, actually. We're not going to go outside, but we will go to the inside. Under brakes, that is 5th. It's all about picking and choosing the moments to get out of the AI line and find some space, because I am definitely quicker than them quite comfortably at this level. So yeah, the AI level could do with a little bit of tweaking, I think. 105, I think, should be a little bit more competitive than it is, but at least you can bump it up quite a bit higher from here. Look at the amount of heat I got in the front left there, 120 degrees or something like that. Okay, 2 laps to go. I'm in 3rd place, 1 car per lap, I can do that. Finally get a clean run at Paddock Hill. Good exit. Late on the brakes, no lock-up, get it turned in, on the power slowly, that is P2. I hope you lot are going to be tuned in for the touring cars this weekend, because I certainly am. It's always great, packed schedule as well, so much racing throughout the day. Oh, a bit of a lift. Didn't want to make too much contact. We'll try an undercut on the exit here. Actually, you know what, don't even need to try an undercut, I'll go around the outside. AI's going to squeeze me all the way out though. We're going to be side by side. Heading towards the last lap. I'm going to have to pull back into the slipstream. We'll go outside for Paddock Hill. This time we're going to do a switchback down to 4th gear. Wait until the AI's pass. Nope. Outside move again. He was too slow on the apex. I couldn't cut back. Gone in too deep. Lost the position. It's going to be a dive down here. You can see how much speed I can carry through that corner if I had a clean run at it. And that is the lead, with a few corners to go. I'm going to enjoy taking this thing around the Grand Prix layout, and of course the Infiniti as well. But that is going to be a win in this little race against the AI. Our first taste of the British touring cars on RF2. And I've seen a lot of content creators really enjoy this. I can fully understand why. As a big BTCC fan, I'm just so happy that we've got this official content to enjoy. And I look forward to more of it in the future, hopefully. So that is going to be it from me today, but I'd love to hear down below if you have purchased the Q2 content in rFactor 2. What do you think of it? Do you think it's fun? Do you think there's more that could be done? It is £26 for all 5 pieces of content, so a little bit more pricey than recent DLC from the likes of Assetto Corsa Competizione, but probably a little bit cheaper than buying them individually on iRacing, so let me know what you think of that as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Traxion channel for more racing game content like this, and of course hit the notification bell to catch our future uploads as they are released. Until I see you next time, thank you so much for watching. Keep it pinned, and have a great day.